Freedom! What is freedom for you? Welcome, freedom seekers. Welcome to the Freedom Seeker Society. And what is freedom to you? Now, what's so interesting about how the world has become, and as soon as we hear the word freedom, a lot of other things may pop up. Maybe some people start conjuring up some other thoughts beyond the basic concept around freedom. Freedom is the lack of constraints. Freedom is not being caged, it's being untethered, unlocked, unleashed. And that means so many things. We see people talk about get your financial freedom going. And there's a lot of people marketing that. Hey, let's get the financial freedom. And really, what's interesting about that, what financial freedom is simply not having any debt and creating enough passive income to live your life debt free. And for some people, it's not a lot of money. And it's probably not as much as you think it is for you. And isn't that interesting? So many places, probably what we think is freedom isn't quite what we think. So let's get under the hood a little bit even more. What if freedom, whether it's financial freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, relational freedom, really what that means ultimately is the ability, the freedom, the ability to just simply be yourself. Be yourself, fully expressed. Like to be your authentic, genuine, freaky self, whatever that means. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Could you imagine being able to just walk around, to be able to do your thing without worry about what others are saying about you? Without worry, because that's emotional freedom, isn't it? Not having worry, to be stress free, free from stress. And what's interesting, ultimately, if we're able to be spiritually free, not to just jump right into this, but to be spiritually free, we're connected to then God, to our higher power. And by doing so, then all judgment goes away, doesn't it? If I'm connected, if I'm one with God and God is everything, then I don't have to worry about what people think. I don't have to worry about how I show up because I am showing up present. I am showing up exactly the way I need to. And when I do so, aren't we able to accomplish more? Aren't we able to create more? Aren't we able to touch, move, and inspire more? And then when we do so, wouldn't we be able to make more money, which is what often people are concerned about? Wouldn't we be able to be self-expressed and not be judging ourselves or worrying about what others are saying about us? Wouldn't we be able to be relationally free, meaning not like we have an open relationship, but to be yourself with the people you care about, the people you love most, the people who we put the most pressure on in how we are perceived. And I just use an example. If you don't already know, my betrothed, my lovely wife, my beautiful, talented, brilliant, hilarious, sexy wife, Heidi, I can say that some of the challenges that we can have as humans is when we're in a spirited debate, when we're in an argument, when we're in some form of a challenge, well, perhaps there isn't a emotional freedom, that relational freedom. We're judging. I can sometimes get a little focused, worried about what she's thinking because I want to show up and be there for her and be her king and be impressive and be inspirational and be there for her. And I fail because I am human. So that's part of the motivation behind these conversations, isn't it? Because for you and I, our goal is to be free from constraints, to be able to be fully self-expressed. Good friend Tom Beal, if you're out there, Tom, what up? He talks about I am me, F you. And what he's saying is I am you fully and unapologetically. What a powerful statement that is, where we could get to that point that we just are okay with who we are. Being okay with who we are. And when we have that freedom, Miracles are possible, aren't they? When we have that freedom, we're able to show up fully present with someone. We're able to serve them at a deeper and higher level. We're able to create things that maybe we've never created before because we don't have that inner dialogue, that chatter getting in the way, preventing us from trying new things because we're not free from our own inner dialogue, from our own chatter. We're too busy hypnotizing ourselves to censor, to be worried, to be canceled. And by the way, I don't mean canceled by others. I mean canceling ourselves. That maybe we have an idea and then we are fearful or we pass judgment on what that idea was. And I don't know about you. Have you ever had this happen where you've had a great idea, you felt inspired, and then for whatever reason, you cancel yourself, you censor yourself, you mute yourself, you cage yourself, you tether yourself, you leash yourself in a way that you don't take those actions, you don't follow through. And then next thing you know, someone else does. And there's that amazing product on now as seen on TV. And yet you like, I had that idea. There are countless ideas that I've had that I look back in the past that I go, man, I thought of that or something very similar to that. And had I done it at that time, I wonder if I would have then accomplished bringing those experiences to bear to market. Maybe it's in a relationship where you are looking to connect with somebody and that inner voice, that that master of your inner vocal slave prevents you from maybe reaching out to that person, meeting them for the first time, or maybe apologizing, or maybe giving them that compliment. And by not doing so, by not being free from those constraints, we miss out on opportunities for love. We miss out on opportunities for connection. Or maybe we play too small because the concern, because what is the opposite of freedom? Well, maybe it's fear. Maybe it's fear. If you think about there's that old meme that you've seen sometimes of the donkey being tied to a beach chair. Donkey afraid I can't move, get stuck. Is it possible that you and I get stuck? We are tethered, we are tied. We know the story of the elephant. Maybe you don't, and I've shared it before. One day, it's olden times. True story, there was the circus, and it may have been the Ringling Brothers, and the traveling circus traveled with all these animals. And if you recall, the circus had the elephants. We're famous for the elephant tricks, and it's doing the balancing on the ball and so forth. And the way you train an elephant is you take a chain, a baby elephant, take a chain, you wrap it around its leg. And then you take that chain and you tie it to the post. And what happens is the elephant takes a few steps. It's a baby elephant. It's got this chain, takes a few steps, gets to the end, feels the resistance, goes, I can't break it. I'm stuck here. I'm not free. I'm not free to go where I want. I am stuck right here. Now, what's interesting about this is as the elephant gets older, does the chain get bigger? And one might wonder and say, yeah, of course, it must get bigger because that elephant, that giant becomes this multi-ton elephant, this creature, this behemoth of an animal could very easily break that chain. So yes, we should make it even bigger. But the truth is, as the elephant gets bigger, the chain actually gets smaller and smaller to the point where it's just a little chain wrapped around the leg and then a rope. There's a rope attached to the chain that is then attached to the pole. Now, the elephant always feels that chain on its wrist, and then once it gets its little perimeter, go, that's as far as I could go, that's as far as I could go, and it gets trained into it. Is not free to go further than that one spot, that one circle. Well, sadly, the circus tent caught on fire. And sadly, the elephants perished. Now, what's so crazy about it is the rope had burned way before the elephants perished. The elephants were actually, in fact, always free because they could have broken that rope at any time. But we get so locked in sometimes to some constraints, some beliefs, some attitudes. We buy into other people's stories, their cages, their tethers, their leashes. Or worse, we have some broken contact connection with our creator, with God. And we don't allow, which actually that freedom comes in, that light, that love sets us free. And yet, because we still have that chain, and that chain could be just looking outside the evidence, false evidence appearing real, the old adage that maybe, in fact, the opposite of freedom is fear. So, are there areas in your life that you are not feeling so free? Maybe it's in your finances. Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's in your emotions. Maybe it's in your spirituality, in your connection to God. Maybe it's in your health. Maybe it's you've got one set of relationships going well. Maybe you've got some business relationships going okay, but your personal relationships are suffering. Or maybe it's converse. Maybe you have fantastic personal relationships with your family, with your spouse, and yet your business relationships are suffering. Maybe you could grow your relationship base, as it were, that you could expand it, that you could meet new people, connect with them on a deeper level. Because the truth is, the more we start getting technologically adapted, and you may have seen the video that I've shared before, or just recently was is AI the Antichrist, right? And I use that kind of tongue in cheek, but not because AI is artificial intelligence, the antithesis of human intelligence. And perhaps now more than ever, we need to break free from all of these constraints, all of these limiting beliefs, all of these limiting mindsets, all of these non resourceful emotions, getting stressed out, angry, frustrated, bitter about things we can't control. So I wonder if you were to look at your life and go, what am I in control of? And just focus on that and not allowing yourself to be held captive by things out of your control, by being tethered to experiences that have nothing to do with you and you have no control over. Maybe you're finding yourself wasting some well needed energy worrying about something that really there's nothing you could do about anyway. Where does that show up? When would now be the best time to let go and let God? Or not. So with that being said, I love you for who you are and who you aren't. And let's not make this a one-sided conversation. Please, if you've got some thoughts, let's talk about it. Let's connect. Let's build some relationship here. Join the Freedom Seeker Society, because our goal here is to set each other free while we connect even more, while we support each other more, to let our freak flags fly, to have the space to be your unique, incredible, genuine self, to celebrate your gifts, your talents, the things that you have to offer. Don't hold those, like set those free, set your gifts free, set your talents free. Set your unique, amazing, divine, beautiful self free so that we can make a difference together, that we can hold ourselves to a higher standard of authenticity, of genuine being, not doing, but being. So that being said, I love you for who you are and who you aren't. God bless you, and let's stay in touch. If it was helpful, please go ahead and share it. Like it, all that good stuff. All right. Take care.